So hi, I'm hi from Germany. I'm sitting in Mannheim, and hi to FOAID, to the Festival of Architecture. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Thanks for giving me the chance to show some of my works and some of my thoughts and share some of my thoughts. And a big congratulations to the overall organization. I think it's a wonderful event, and yeah, I'm looking forward to go through this presentation and also to hear from others in the coming days. Okay, so uh, hello everyone. We'll start with the presentation, and I would open now the PowerPoint. Um, We start directly. I thought we start a little bit to add some ideas about current ideas of importance. We are at the moment in that big global crisis of a pandemic. So I think ideas of sustainability are a very important topic. So I try to connect a little bit the work which I show, which we do, um, with the parameters and connection towards sustainability. So first of all, a little bit introduction to our office. Our office has 230 people all over the globe. We are 24 nationalities with 15 expertises. We have most of the people are architects in our office. We have a lot of interior designers, also communication specialists, product designers, and obviously also some administration people. We have four offices. We have the main office, which is in Stuttgart. We have the office in Berlin. We have an office in Mannheim. That is where I'm sitting right now. And we have the office where I normally sit in India, in Ahmedabad, which I came 10 years ago. I came to Ahmedabad and started this office from there. And we see also that building, which was one of the first designs which we did in India. Yeah, as I said already before, we have many disciplines in our office connected. So one of our very important ways of how we work is the transdisciplinarity. And I think that in this way we achieve a very good, we can achieve very good results if we get the input of certain disciplines in a very early stage of the project already. Here we have a picture of the people in Stuttgart, of the main office. We have here a picture of the office in Ahmedabad, with which is now since existing in Ahmedabad since around 9 or 10 years. And one part of our team is also my dog Reshma, who is responsible for the well-being of all of us in our office. We have finished around more than 1,000 realized project in 32 countries all over the globe, while India is a little bit different story, because we have a full scope office in India. Otherwise, normally we do just the concept designs, and then it goes to local architects for the execution. So a little bit about my own story, because we said that we talk a little bit about sustainability. Myself, I grew up in a time in Germany where the green movement just started, and I was very much involved in that green movement. It became part of my teenage years, and I was involved in certain projects which we did. For example, we were counting bird nests because we realized the swallows are disappearing from our area. So we thought about how could we enhance the habitat for, or how can we bring them back? What are the opportunities? We had one of our big projects which we did in these times was the monoculture was taking over more and more. And we tried to plant hedges along the big areas of the fields, of the farmlands, which is a habitat for many local species of animals. And uh, I was also involved in doing the school garden. Overall, I would say um, it was the time where my green heart grew. And so for me, sustainability is not something which came at a later stage or whatever is a task in office, like one of the tasks. I think it's one of the main things which I'm focused in all my design practice. And I have it always in the background as a overhead aim. Um, Also, I wanted to show some of the architectures which fascinated me that time. That were some freaks which are starting to create green architecture. It was that time called in Germany Öko-Architektur, which fascinated me very much. I mean, when I studied architecture, it changed a little bit, but I think it's very nice to see the passion with which the people were involved to create a new idea of living in harmony with the nature. So if we talk about sustainability, I actually don't like that word. It's a word which didn't exist when I was involved in, or started to get involved in the green movement. Sustainability came up later, and I think sustainability is one of the most misused words which we have in the in this area. For example, just one example, I was in February, Donald Trump and his daughter Ivanka were in Ahmedabad. And the next day, the newspapers were showing the picture of Ivanka Trump because she was wearing a dress which she once had worn before, and it was called in the newspaper with the headline "Statement for Sustainability." So I think if that is an idea of sustainability, if you wear a shirt twice, that is not what we should talk about. I think it's very important that we have a real, and not fake, a real interest in what we are doing. There's also a nice cartoon on the other side which shows exactly what is happening in many cases. That sustainability, these people are planting this little tree and say, we are dedicating this tree. It may serve forever as a symbol of our corporate responsibility towards environment. And I think many times these things are happening. It's more or less a branding, gold rating, platinum rating, and. But I think sustainability in the real meaning should something which really tries to deal in an honest way with the problems we are in. Yeah. What is the aim of sustainability? I mean, as I said, if we talk sustainability in a real and fake way, I think that the aim is obviously, as an architect, we have to concentrate on our task as architects. Sustainability means a perfect, a good use of the resources in the construction, as well as a good planning in the of using of a meaningful use of the resources during the operation time. And all together, that should be in a balance with our planet and in harmony with our planet. Um, the final part, where will that lead, or what will be the parts of where it will guide us, would be the enhancing of well-being, of balance, and obviously health of the people. Um, I think how we build our environment is a way how we see ourselves as humans, and vice versa, as architects who are building this environment. We have a huge responsibility because this environment also builds us or has an effect on what we are as humans and how we see us as humans. And I think if we are looking for a change, it has to be a change starting in the mindset, which is very important, because as we see also in this slide on the second page, I wonder if there is an intelligent life on another planet. And he says, yeah, you mean unlike ours? It seems we are dealing in a very unintelligent way with our planet. But I think the movement is strong, and in the current situation, it's even getting stronger towards a different way of planning and whatever. So some facts I wanted to add. Why is it important? If we see as architects, we have an important field, and we have also important effect on what we have in our in the overall energy consumption and emission. 30% of the carbon CO2 emission is considered to be in the construction sector, in the building operation, and so on. The 40% of the energy emission is considered in that, and even 50% of the wastage, which is here on this planet. So the aim must be to reduce that properly. I think this is just showing a little bit more in detail the same what energy consumption is used in buildings. That is particular about India. In other countries, it goes up to 50%. If you look at the US, it's around 50%. And then, yeah. Another point, what we have to see is why that to implement factors of sustainability is so important is the land use. If we see this sheet from the OECD, we see that in the last 20 years, the use of land for build-up land, for construction, transportation, and whatever, is increased in India in just 20 years for more than 25%. That is a figure which shows an enormous growth, also an enormous potential, but obviously it shows also the problem of it, that massive land use. The picture below shows a little bit what I always feel. Obviously, as architects, we are building, but what we are doing when the digging is starting and we go to a site of one of our new projects, I always get a little bit melancholic, because I feel that the surface of our planet, which is touched now and disrupted in a way which was grown in millions of years and will never be the same again after we do what we have to do. Yeah. So, what is sustainability? I think a lot of people have now spoken about sustainability. Also, in the weeks and months of the lockdown, I think many people have listened to webinars, and I don't think that is necessary to talk there in detail about. But I think architecture is a spatial philosophy. In the past, we were thinking about what is a human and what are the human's needs. Now we have to add one parameter. It's also what is the need of the planet, and that I think is the main thing when we talk about sustainability, to widen this mindset. And what I would like to show is that we won't change the world, and we won't make a sustainable future within one day or within 1 year. But I want to show, along with our projects, the little small factors which we have added in our projects towards a more sustainable built environment. I think what is important, we have to be happy about the small achievements which we are able to do in our daily work. One advantage, let's say one good point in India is the growth is enormous. In Europe, we talk about a very different scenario than we do in India. And in Europe, the world is more or less, we look for flexibility, we look for renovation, reuse, and such things. In India, there is an enormous growth, and this enormous growth will also implement that if we are able to add small factors of sustainability, small improvements in terms of energy efficiency or whatever, it has a huge effect, a much better effect than if we go to if we go to large to very enhanced and sophisticated projects in the other world, just because of the pure mass. So the project, the land, the map shows a little bit the two places where I belong to. There is one is Stuttgart and one is Ahmedabad, with all the projects in India which we did. So I would like to start with one project in Stuttgart because that project was, as I said, it's a comparatively small project, but it has a lot of parameters with a very high sophisticated way of including parameters of sustainability. In average or in the later projects which I show, I would focus on such parameters like reaction on climate context, orientation, life cycle, flexibility, then the material selection, which is a very important point, local, recycled, low embodied energy, reduction of operating energy with maximum use of natural light, maximum air circulation, insulation, shading. And then finally, also that part about green, how to add green, the positive effects of green with the inviting the nature in our built environment, the biodiversity, cooling with evaporation or shading or alternative cooling systems. So last but not least, then the green points, the positive effects are inviting the nature in the built environment, which if we add green in our buildings, it has an effect on the biodiversity. It is having an effect on cooling with evaporation, but also with shading. It has an effect on air quality, on noise reduction, and finally, it has an effect on the happiness, productivity, and the friendly environment in our cities. So I think that in the past we always had this idea. There is the built area, the urban context, the urban environment, and there is the nature. And that is what has to change. We have to bring the nature back in our cities, or we have to see our buildings, our cities as part of nature. Yeah. So here are some of the buildings. It's which I will show. And we would start with that building, as I said, in Germany, which is the main headquarters of our office. It's in Stuttgart, and it's, as I said, our office building with many parameters of sustainability considered. It was rated as the first building, as the first office building in Germany with the DGNB standard, which is the German Society for Sustainable Buildings, as a gold rating, which is extremely high compared to LEED or other ratings in Germany. It's very difficult to achieve, and it was very much vastly published, and so yeah. We see the floor plans here. We have 4 floors in that building. We see the section above the parking. We have a green garden. So we have in this project considered, we thought a lot about how to use the resources, the natural resources which we have, the sunlight, the wind, the rainwater. But also in this project, a big effect had the geothermal thermal energy, which was added in the overall concept for sustainability. Obviously, an important role plays the envelope of the building, which has a complete insulation and we have reuse of the rainwater. We use the rainwater for the garden. We also have a grey water system in the house. The geothermal energy is used for heating and cooling as well. Then the domestic water heating is happening mainly with thermal solar energy, heating and cooling distribution, ventilation systems. So we have a ventilation system which goes with earth channels, is working with earth channels, but we have also a possibility of individual openable windows that we can guarantee a good air exchange and airflow. The lighting, it's a maximum use of natural light and with intelligent use of artificial light. Yeah, so we come directly to the next building. The next building is a building which is just quite a fresh design. It is a building for Rose. It's a manufacturer for bicycles, and the green environment slopes on the roof, which has many positive effects in terms of insulation, in terms of evaporation, cooling, and whatever. But it's also used as an area for the people who are working there to relax and chill. That we see here on this picture. So now we go from the projects in Germany. We go to India. In India, we will start with a project in Ahmedabad, and the first project is Satya One. It's a commercial building with offices and retail. In this context, I think we can directly start also with one very important parameter of sustainability, which is the life cycle. If it starts in a very early stage of the design, because if we design a kind of a minimal sculpture, it is also a timeless expression, and the more timeless we are able to do our buildings, I think the more likely is that we have a long lifespan for the building. The building is completely covered by a layer of shading elements, which we had taken inspiration from traditional Indian context. As everyone knows, the jalis. We have developed a form of shading system which operates and opens and closes like the wings of butterflies. It's also not an electric system, it's a manual system. That means the people who are using this building will change the look of the sculpture every day according to the open or closed part of it. We see here a close-up of the shading elements. Here we see the traditional jalis, which is, I think, a picture from Jaisalmer. What is also an important factor in this project is that we did not somehow found a contractor, I don't know where in the world, and got this imported to India. We developed this, and also the mechanical system with a local small contractor. And I think also that is an important part of sustainability, to be local, to develop local. And actually, it's also a pleasure. The mechanism of all is a little bit like the sugarcane pressings. If we look from the inside, it has also a very nice effect. And here is a comparison between the interior of a traditional jali and of one office space floor. We come to the next building. The next building is a big mall, actually the biggest mall in Sri Lanka. It is Odel. and it's in the center of Colombo, and it is a mixed-use building. It has obviously the most of it is retail, but we have also residential on the top, and we have uh, 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 we have a healthcare center, residential, and retail in this building. Yeah, so the residential is on the top. What was the difficult challenge in this project was, you see already the huge mass of this building. It's 7 floors, and to make it somehow attractive in the urban context, we had to break down the mass. We first of all started to break down the mass with the volumes itself, but then also we were looking for patterns in the historic patterns in the context, which create an interesting surface with the light and shade, and also bring a certain diversity in this huge building mass. Yeah, we come to the next building, Mondeal Heights.